Hi, good morning. Welcome to our TPO Connect training. We're just going to give it a few more minutes and let a few others join in. So if you'll just bear with us for a few minutes here. I do want to let you know that you guys are going to be muted. So if you have any questions at all, please write those down. We're going to have a Q&A at the end so that you can put those in the chat and then we can answer your questions from there. So make sure you write those questions down. Okay, great. I think that we should go ahead and get started, Norma.
Absolutely, yes. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really exciting to be able to help you out with our TPO Connect. Monique is our sales support manager with me. I'm your account manager. We're basically a team here, and we are just here to support you. I know that for those of you that are not familiar with TPO Connect, this will be very, very, critical to going forward. Some of you may already have files that you're waiting to submit. So this is the perfect time to ask the questions. So don't be shy. Again, thank you for choosing Trevisa. We are absolutely committed to provide you the service and your home buyers the service that they need to get them into a home. And with that, I'm not going to take much more time, but know that you can always reach myself or Monique. We're here to help you out. So Monique, take it away.
All right, everybody, here we go. So I'm going to share my screen and go over. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Monique Manaya, as Norma had mentioned, and I've been in the mortgage industry since 1997. I've been in all the arenas from broker, retail, wholesale, processor, loan officer, branch manager, but most recently, I was the EEP production manager over at this government entity that we're working with. And so I ran EEP operations. I ran processing, closing, funding, the Tule River signers, and title approval. So I definitely have a lot of knowledge of the program, the guidelines, the process flow. And so coming over here to Trevisa, I'm bringing all of that information and knowledge with me to help you successfully build your EEP business and have a successful portfolio. And again, we have Norma Summers, and she is your amazing account executive. She as well brings many decades of knowledge and experience from the mortgage industry. Her background is in sales, mortgage lending, underwriting, and mortgage insurance. And she is dedicated to all of our clients, you, to help make sure that everything functions, flows, and is smooth. So as she said, make sure you reach out to her and or myself throughout the process of your loans or any scenario questions, etc., etc. Okay, so today we're specifically talking about the Earned Equity Program. So the Earned Equity Program, it's more of a structured path to homeownership. And so this is going to be your training. I'm going to go over a little bit about EEP first before I get into the process flow. That way, if you're not 100% familiar about how EEP works, then this will give you just a refresher. So EEP was thought up. It was brought to us because it expands access to homeownership. It's designed for people that have the non-traditional credit that just don't fit into that mortgage box. And so it gives them the access to appreciation today, even though they may not be able to qualify for the traditional mortgage financing until later. And so it's definitely a very good structured pathway to full legal ownership. So how it works is we have Tule River Earned Equity Agency. They are a Native American tribe in Porterville, California. They are actually the ones that are going to purchase the home through FHA financing. Your home buyer is going to enter into a homeownership agreement at closing with the government entity Tule River. The borrower is going to occupy the home, and then the legal title transfer will happen later. So how that can occur is through the FHA loan assumption, the sale of the home, essentially paying off the option purchase price, which is the amount within the homeownership agreement. So what really makes EEP different, especially from the other, traditional seller financing, is that there is no shared equity, no shared appreciation. Your borrower is going to retain 100% of the market value, and the equity is building immediately in this current market. So when your home buyer is making payments, all the appreciation that is happening over this time, your home buyer gets when they decide to sell the home or assume the FHA loan. So we want to think about the long-term strategy here. Your borrower is building equity. They're going to gain ownership, stability, and eventually they're going to assume the FHA loan, and then you can streamline them to a lower rate. And so then you retain that relationship with the home buyer for future business. And this matters to you because this expands your borrower pool. This builds referral relationships. This differentiates you from others in such a competitive market. This program is so new that not very many people know about this program or have access to this program. And so it definitely also will create future refinance pipeline for you when these clients are wanting to exit the program and obtain full legal title. So something very, very specific to EEP is we're going to have two files, okay? So we're going to have the homebuyer TBD file, and we are going to have the Tule River subject property file. So it's very, very important to remember we're going to have two files. Some of the common mistakes that are made that we want to make sure that you don't make is entering the property address in your homebuyer TBD file. If you enter the subject property address in your homebuyer TBD file, this will trigger TRID. We will have to withdraw the file. And the reason behind this is because your homebuyer is not obtaining any traditional mortgage loans. So we don't want to trigger for TRID and have to disclose. So your homebuyer TBD file, which we're call file number 1, this is in phase number 1, is the file that is getting submitted to the government entity to get vetted, to get approved by them to enter into this homeownership agreement with them. Another common mistake is not getting the assignment addendum fully signed before you start phase 2. So phase 2, file number 2, is going to be your Tule River subject property address file. This is the file that will get created after you've received the pre-approval from Tule River and after that your home buyer has gone under contract. Okay. Another thing that we want to make sure we do not do is upload your home buyer docs into the Tule River file. As we're going along in this process, you'll want to upload any home buyer related docs in the home buyer file. Property related docs will go in your Tule River property file. Okay. And then also just an incomplete loan setup. So when you're submitting file number 1, we do have a pre-approval checklist that is required. At the bottom of this checklist, you need to put in your referral for your home buyer. And this is only because Tule River has a hard stop for us, and so we need this information to enter that in for them. When you're completing your 1003, addresses, phone numbers, all of that needs to be filled out, or else they will push the file back to us to get things completed, and that just delays and wastes time. So I'm going to be going over more of this information, and I'm probably going to repeat myself a few times, so I apologize for that, but it's very key and important to make sure that some of these things do occur and do not occur, okay? So right now we are going to talk about the file number 1, which is just your homebuyer TBD file, okay? So again, the purpose of this file is to qualify the homebuyer with TRIA only, with Tule River, okay? So again, do not enter the subject property address on the 1003. It must be submitted as a TBD and remain in TBD status. So when you are preparing your homebuyer TBD setup, you are going to complete your homebuyer's 1003 as a TBD in your LOS platform. You're going to save and take a 3.4 MISMO file and upload that to TPO Connect. You're going to then select the program, which is going to be the Earned Equity 30-year fixed program. You're going to complete your pre-approval checklist and upload the required documents. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to do an example submission for you and actually show you the walkthrough of it. So for the pre-approval checklist, it goes through a few different items that you're going to want to submit, which is going to be the homebuyer's identification documents, their credit documents, income, asset, verification of rent, and then also just make sure you have any sort of cover letters or letter of explanations. And these are going to all get uploaded in the loan documents section in TPO Connect in your TBD file on the left side. I'll show you exactly where that's at when I'm doing my demonstration. So after you upload this file, upload your documents, what happens next? Your file is going to enter a TBD queue. It's going to get reviewed by one of our account managers, which is typically within 24 hours. And then they will either let you know if there's any missing documents needed to get submitted over the entity, or they will just be able to immediately get it submitted to the government entity, and then we will receive that conditional approval from Tule River, okay? Turn times for the pre-approvals from Tule River are subject to their turn times. Currently, they are 48 to 72 hours. Okay, so now you have your homebuyer TBD pre-approval from Tule River. They can now go out, shop for the home that they want. They will put the home under contract themselves, do all of the negotiation. They will put the earnest money down, and then there is an assignment addendum that needs to be signed by both the buyer and the seller. These documents are all located in TPO Connect, so I can show you where those are as well. As soon as we have that assignment addendum, we can then create our file number 2, which we call the entity subject property file, okay? So you're under contract. You now have the assignment addendum signed by the home buyer and the seller. We will now create our new file for government entity. So what goes in file number 2? For your 1003, you're going to have Tule River listed as the buyer. You're going to have the subject property address in this file, the purchase price, the loan terms, And then we do have a job aid, and this job aid gives you all of Tule River's information to complete the 1003 from page 1 to page 4. So we're going to give you the tool on how to complete their 1003 for them. And then this file is going to get registered pretty much the same exact way that you register the homebuyer TBD file, okay? So after you've utilized the entity job aid and created your Tule River 1003 file, you're going to upload the 3.4 MISMO, select the Earned Equity Program again, and then you're going to upload 4 required documents. That's going to be the purchase contract, the assignment addendum fully executed, the lender disclosure request form, and the mortgage broker fee agreement. So as soon as you have the file registered, products selected, these 4 items uploaded, you are then going to click Request Disclosures. The file will then move to our disclosure department. They will prepare a loan estimate for your review. So they will email that out to you to review and approve. As soon as you review and approve it, the Tule River disclosures will get sent to Tule River, okay? So these disclosures are not going to your home buyer. These are the FHA loan disclosures for Tule River since they're taking out the FHA loan. So Tule River will e-sign, and then you as a loan officer or your loan officer will go in TPO Connect to e-sign their portion, okay? All right, so after Tule River and the loan officer has e-signed their FHA initial disclosures, that will then give us our intent to proceed. Sorry about that, guys. I am pushing buttons all over the place. Okay, that will give us our intent to proceed, okay? Then your file will get transferred over to one of our account managers. Our account manager will then pull the FHA case number, and then the account manager will send the loan officer and their team an email that the appraisal is ready to be ordered. There will be some instructions on how and where to go to order it. I will also show you in this demonstration. They will also advise on putting the appraisal payment link to your home buyer. This is very important that we make sure that when you're ordering the appraisal, you add your home buyer's email address for the payment link. If you do not do this, the payment link will go to Tule River's email and they ignore it. So that can cause some delays that we don't want to have occur. Okay, so the appraisal is ordered within the Tule River file, subject property address. Do not try to order appraisal or lock your TBD file. We're always going to be doing that type of processes within the Tule River subject property file. Okay. So just remember when you're wanting to order the appraisal, I know some of us, we need to get the appraisal ordered. We have deadlines, we have dates to meet. And so just remember that we cannot order the appraisal until the disclosures have been sent and e-signed. So then we've received the intent to proceed. The FHA case number has been pulled, and then you will order the appraisal within TPO Connect in your Tule River subject property file under the Order Appraisal tab, and you'll make sure that the homebuyer's email address is listed for the payment link. All right, so let's go over the full workflow, okay? This is definitely a little bit different than traditional mortgage, but I will say that it's really only the beginning part that's different and then the end part. The middle part of clearing conditions is just standard mortgage. So let's get started with number 1. We're going to qualify your home buyer and submit your TBD file. We are then going to receive the conditional approval. We're going to then go out, have our home buyer find a property, put a property under contract. That is when we can then create file number 2, which is our entity file. Then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to request disclosures. So I will show you that after you've created your entity file, there's a button that you will select for requesting your disclosures. I'll show you that in the demonstration. Your FHA case number will get pulled by your account manager. You will order your appraisal, and then you will clear conditions as normal. The only thing that is different is on this is that you will have an approval from Tule River for your home buyer, and you will have an approval from Trevisa for the Tule River's FHA loan. Tule River's FHA loan is only going to be property conditions because they do not have to credit, income, or asset qualify. So there are no conditions required on that part of the file for Tule River. Okay? Okay. So essentially, when we're wanting to really master this EEP process, we want to always remember that there is a two-file structure. We want to get your homebuyer TBD submitted first and get them approved. We do understand that sometimes you have files where they've already gone under contract, and so we can do this simultaneously, but we want to, make sure that we do both of them together as soon as possible, and we have the assignment addendum signed, okay? Do not ever enter the subject property address in your homebuyer file. We will have to withdraw that file and you will have to start over, and that's a phone call I hate making. If you are just going to submit a TBD file for your home buyer and then send them out to go look for a home, working on getting those home buyer conditions cleared is definitely a good strategy, because then you can, the whole process will flow and a lot smoother and quicker. Having a clean submission for both your home buyer and your Tule River file is very important, because like I said before, the pre-processors over at Tule River will throw your file back to us if addresses are missing, phone numbers are missing, dates of employment are missing. If you've marked that your home buyer rents and do not put the rental amount in, things of that nature, they will put the files back to us. Our account manager scrubs it first, but of course, sometimes things get missed. So one of the biggest things about Tule River is they love cover letters and letter of explanations, okay? So, every file has a story. Your borrowers have a story. So explaining, what their credit situation may be, or how you've structured their income. Maybe they're W-2 during the day, but they have a self-employed business on the weekends, and, that's how we're structuring the income. Assets. They save all their money at home and they'll be depositing it, a few weeks before closing. That's fine. We don't source or season funds to close. We do allow gift funds. Gift funds can go towards all down payment and can go towards the entity fees, but for the seller concessions, we allow up to 6% seller concessions. Those seller concessions cannot go towards the entity fees. So when we're preparing the final CD, seller concessions can only go towards FHA allowable closing costs, okay? So if we're going to take your bottom line from the final CD, which if the seller's going to cover all closing costs, then we're looking at just MRI, 3.5% down minus earnest money deposit. And then they have to bring in their own entity fees unless those are gifted. Seller concession cannot go towards those fees, which consist of their first payment, $12.50 underwriting processing fee, $1.50 notary, 0.5%, and a $2.50 HOA fee if the property's located in an HOA or a PUD. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's something that I think is very important that moving forward. We do have income calculation worksheets that can assist you calculating your income. For our 3-month bank statement program, for self-employed borrowers, there's a standard 45% expense factor. We do have a tiered expense factor option. What this is saying that my borrower is more service business related. They don't have a lot of overhead by buying product. Um, and they don't have any employees. So if that's the case, we can get a letter from their CPA and we can get the expense factor all the way down to 10%. So keep that in mind that when you're working your file, you know, if 45% is a little too high for your home buyer, we can look into that option as well. Setting the proper expectations with not only your home buyer, but your realtor partners is very, very important because we do have this two-file structure. We're obtaining 2 approvals. The property, Tule River does require an FHA appraisal, and if for some reason it's subject to, we might need repairs. And if the home is 1978 or older, then they require a home inspection. They also will require a home inspection if the appraisal comes back and the condition is a C4 or greater. And so, you know, you may need to get a home inspection. And if there's any major safety repairs, Tule River will require those to be repaired and completed up front. So just keep in mind that these are things that could cause delays that are just, you know, standard situations in mortgage. They also have an overlay that they require pest termite inspection in 35 states. So keep that in mind that getting those ordered at, you know, the beginning of the transaction is typically a good idea. And then also the closing. So closing a EEP file requires the home buyer to wire in all of the funds to close to Tule River. Tule River will then wire in the bottom line from the CD to title. Tule River signers are located in Porterville, California. They have to sign and then they have to drive the original package out to FedEx UPS, which is about an hour away. The closest one is about an hour away. And so, you know, if they don't get the package in time and signings are delayed or getting the package over to UPS or FedEx in time can cause delays. Wires going all over the place can sometimes delay the closing. We really, really try to close one day and fund the next day, but sometimes there is an extra day in those closing, between the closing and the funding. And also, Texas can be different. And so just keep those in mind when you're setting the proper expectations. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and see if anybody has any questions. And then I will go ahead and get the demonstration going. So does anybody have any questions in the meantime before I get the TPO Connect demonstration? Okay, perfect. Okay, so when you log into your Travisa financial account, your TPO Connect, this is exactly what you're going to see, except for you're going to see your recently accessed loans. You're going to see your lender key contacts, which will include myself, Norma, and some of our operations, and any sort of company announcements that we may have. This top blue bar here is where these are going to be your action items. So when you want to see your pipeline, it's going to be here. And we break your pipeline down to basically a box of all loans where your lock is getting ready to expire. So we may want to address those. files that are cleared to close, cleared for docs out, submitted to underwriting, etc., etc. E-sign loans, this is where your loan officer or you, if you are the loan officer, are going to go to e-sign your file once the initial disclosures have gone out. Here is where we add the new loans, so I'll come back to this in just one second. We have our scenarios, which is optimal blue. You can come in and run scenarios. We also do FHA, conventional VA, and we have amazing rates on those products as well. So make sure, if you want to run, if you have any of those files that are non-EEP, to come into our scenarios and run those. Here is our program guides and matrices. So this is where all of the information for EEP specifically is going to be found. Every document that you will need for your EEP transaction is located here in Program Guides and Matrices under EEP. Okay, so this is where you're going to find your pre-approval checklist. It's running slow today. So this is what the EEP pre-approval checklist looks like. You can go through and you can check specifically let's say, just say for income, for example, if you are, it's actually it's kind of more of a checklist, making sure that you're meeting the requirements of EEP as well. So for instance, if you look at number 9, minimum 12 months employment history. So you're checking your 1003, you're making sure check that they have at least 12 months employment history. If they don't, then we're looking at the program matrix or reaching out to myself or Norma to see what else is needed if they don't have the full 12 months. The standard DTI is 50 or 60, so we're wanting to check our liabilities. We're checking our taxes, insurance, making sure everything's entered and that our DTI is in line. If not, we're looking at the matrix and seeing what we need to do to request an exception. So here, if we're going to do a W-2 employees, then this is where you're going to mark. Otherwise, you'll skip down to your number 11 for self-employed, and or 12 if you're going to do the bank statement only program, and it goes just over different items that are required or needed. And it goes over all of that for credit, identification documents, income, assets, VOR, but here is the personal reference at the very bottom that I had mentioned earlier. This is the section that we do have to have filled out because we have that hard stop with Tule River. Okay. Okay, we also have the submission overview here, that if once we get off the call, if there was one thing that you had maybe forgotten when I was registering the file and you wanted to pull up the written step-by-step, this is where you can find that information here on the submission overview. Here is the assignment addendum that I referenced numerous times that the buyer and the seller need to sign, and then we will get that signed by Tule River. Here is the entity job aid. So when I had mentioned that you need to complete your file number 2 with Tule River as the home buyer, this gives you all of the information on how to complete that 1003 from page 1 to page 4. Their marital status, their current address, everything that you need is right here in this earned equity entity job aid for phase 2. Okay, so we also have some additional process guides and job aids. Our mortgagee is here in this section. And then if you need to have a FHA case number or appraisal transferred, our government sponsorship information is here. For our forms and checklists, when you're submitting your Tule River subject property file number 2, you do need that closing disclosure request form completed and the mortgage broker fee agreement. So those forms are specifically found here in forms and checklists because these are all of our FHA conventional and VA forms that are used by those programs as well. That's why they're all out over here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add a new loan and show you guys exactly what needs to specifically be done. You are not going to see this page. This is part of my test screen. This is going to be the first page that you come to. So you're going to come over here to the little pencil and you're going to select loan officer name and click save. And then you're going to select the pencil underneath for the processor. Select proper processor name, save, and then you will select next. Here is where you can either drag and drop your Mismo file, you can search it from your local drive, or you can manually enter it just depending on what your company has set up for your process. So I have a TBD file that I'm going to drag and drop, and then I will click Go to Register Loan. The first screen that pops up is going to have 5 boxes that are a light yellow with red asterisks, and all of those need to be completed. I believe at times you all will see the broker loan number that may need to be completed as well. So that would just be your internal loan number. Estimated closing date. So I'm just submitting my homebuyer's TBD file. He's not under contract, so I'm just going to go and push him out about 45 days. And then for loan document type. For EEP, even if you are doing the 3-month bank statement, you are still going to select full document, okay? So full documentation is selected on all of the income doc types for EEP. You're going to scroll down, and for the specialty programs list, you are going to select the earned equity program. For the vesting type, put individual. And for the pre-qual indicator, I'm going to mark yes, because I am just pre-qualifying my home buyer. When you are uploading the Tule River subject property file, this will be no, because we're not doing a pre-qual, okay? So then you will just click Register Create. This box pops up with any sort of information that did not automatically transfer over from my Mismo file. So I'm going to select the property type. It's in a PUD. My impounds can never be waived on EEP. They just don't allow waiving impounds. And then I'm going to put in my homebuyer FICO score. So when you are registering your Tule River file, because Tule River does not have credit reports pulled, you will just use your homebuyer score for this section for Tule River, okay? And you will click Save and Register Create. Now, you know that you get a success button when you've successfully entered in all of the information, and your home buyer's information will automatically populate to the top here. So here I have my home buyer and I have him as a TBD. So he will always stay as a TBD. We do not ever want to enter the subject property address in this file. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to select the program and attach the program product to this file. So I'm going to select down here product pricing and lock. I'm going to select search product and pricing. And here I just want to make sure that all of the boxes are complete that have the red asterisk here. And I'll scroll down. I'm missing a zip code. Now here for the AUS findings, you're just going to leave that alone for EEP. EEP is a manual underwrite, so you do not need to select anything there. Here we have our LO comp paid by. So this is where, if available to you, you can select borrower or lender paid, and then you can put in your target rate of what rate that you're anticipating to have for your home buyer. So you click search product and pricing. The next screen that pops up is going to be optimal blue. For this screen, you can click submit. The only time there would be a holdup is if your county was not selected, and it will have a pop-up that will notify you that you need to select your county. So your county is located 4 boxes down here. And so mine's filled out. I'm going to click submit. And this is going to generate any of the programs that work for the criteria that I have uploaded. So here I have my earned equity 30-year fixed program. I have my current 3 interest rates that are being offered, 7.25, 7.75, and 8.25. I am looking at getting the 7.25 pricing. So I'm going to slide over until I see this blue box. I'm going to select this blue box even though there's a lock on it. So when you are wanting to lock your Tule River subject property file, this is the same thing you will do, although you will select request lock. Because I'm just wanting to push this file to my TBD queue, I will select update encompass. The next box that pops up, you can select close, but do not select the X on this. Let it go ahead and do its transaction. If you do select the X, it will probably make you start all over again. Okay, so here we now have our earned equity 30-year fixed program. Program is selected. Now we're going to go to our loan documents. And this is where under your home buyer's name, file submission package, this is where you are either going to browse for your files or you can drag and drop your pre-approval checklist and all of your home buyer's documents. I'm going to just drag and drop a document so you can see what it looks like when it was successfully uploaded. You will have a green check mark. If it comes back red, X to delete it and re-upload it and see what needs to be done to fix it. Okay, so once you're done, this automatically registers your file and moves it to the TBD queue. So if you register it, select your program, our account managers are going to review them. If you haven't uploaded the documents in time, they will just send you a friendly email letting you know that they're missing the uploaded documents and maybe even send you a pre-approval checklist for your reference. But as soon as you do get all the documents uploaded, shoot them an email, let them know that everything is there now for their review. If this was your file number 2, this was your Tule River file, this is where you would then click Request Disclosures after uploading your 4 items, which is the lender disclosure request form, the mortgage broker fee agreement, the purchase contract, and the assignment addendum. And then you click Request Disclosures. This sends this over to our disclosure department to prepare the estimated LE for your review. When you have locked your file, you will click Request COC so that it goes to our disclosure department's queue to send out the locked LE. And then after you have an approval, there will be another option to select the initial closing disclosure. So after your locked LE goes out, you can go in and select there for the initial closing disclosure. And then all the way down here is where you will order the appraisal. Okay. So want to just specifically show you a pipeline of what you'll end up looking at. The pipeline is in alphabetical order. And so you will always be looking at your home buyer. To find your home buyer file, you'll be searching for the name since they're in TBD. And then for your subject property Tule River file, you're going to get a lot of Tule River files. So you'll want to reference the subject property address when locating your Tule River subject property address file. Okay. Home buyer conditions go in this file. Property conditions will go in your Tule River file. Property conditions are title, purchase contract, homeowner's insurance, things of that nature. So your home buyer documents are going to be credit, income, asset conditions, things of that nature. Okay. I wanted to show you all. Let's see if you have any questions, and then I could show you a handy form that we have. Does anybody have any questions? All right, great. You guys are an easy crowd today. Okay, so we have this homeownership cost estimator. So this is a really good form if you're wanting to estimate what your home buyer's closing costs are going to be. And so let me show you how this works. Sorry, guys, my computer's slow today. Okay. Okay, so we have an estimate, or we have a sample here for you to go ahead and look at the sample in case you need to reference it. But you will double click on the fillable field. All of the gold sections are fillable, and the blue ones will just automatically fill out based off of the information that you enter. This form is automatically based off of a 3.5% down. Okay, so I'm just going to estimate a $300,000 purchase price. And then I'm going to enter in, whoops, why'd that do that? I'm going to enter in my appraised value and my interest rate. So section 1 here is a breakdown of the loan details for the first mortgage. So this is something that you can show your clients that has the breakdown with the interest rate. The next section is a breakdown of their payment. And so here off to the right, you'll just need to enter in your annual amounts for taxes and insurance and flood insurance if applicable. So for property taxes, I'm just going to put in $2,400 as an estimate and $1,200 for hazard insurance. If there is an HOA, then you will put in the monthly amount here. You'll notice in section 2.5, it has the monthly Tule River servicing fee of $125 based off of the $300,000. The monthly servicing fee is calculated by 0.5% of purchase price divided by 12 months. This servicing fee essentially gives your home buyers access to any questions, any needs, any concerns. They will send them out monthly mortgage statements with what their balance is and how it's going down. They will send out a 1098 interest statement at the end of the year, so they'll be able to write off their interest. So the servicing fee it's very beneficial to your home buyers to have the servicing department. All right, so section number 3 here is the summary of the FHA fees, okay? So what you would do is you would take the closing costs from page 2 of the CD. If you're only going off of closing costs from your own LOS platform, or we've already sent out the LE and we're just waiting for the Tule River to prepare their ICCD, which is an initial consumer cost disclosure. Then we can guesstimate that the closing costs on the $300,000 loan are, let's say, 3% plus the upfront MI. So we're just going to say it's $14,066 for closing costs. They will get a credit for the MI since it's financed. And then for the earnest money, they put down, let's just say 1%. And then we were able to get the seller to contribute, let's just say we were able to get the seller to contribute 1% as well. So we have our earnest money deposit credit, we have our seller concessions, and then out POC fees is going to be your appraisal. So we'll just enter that in there. So this is the subtotal of the FHA loan fees. You can see that we could have the seller contribute a little bit more because we only have to meet our MRI, which is 3.5% minus earnest money. So let's say we negotiated the seller to pay 2%. We want to try to get the seller to negotiate to pay as much as of the closing costs on the FHA loan as possible. That way the home buyer is just left with MRI plus Tule River fees. So moving down here comes down to section 4 is our homeownership agreement fees for the home buyer. This is the $1,250 underwriting fee I had mentioned, the 0.5% homeownership agreement fee, the first month mortgage payment, and then the notary fee. So we have a subtotal of $55.67 in homeownership agreement fees from Tule River. Keep in mind that $25.67 of this is their first month's payment. Okay. So down here, we will take our FHA fees and down payment, the homeownership agreement fees, and then we have our total cash to close this transaction. Again, maxing out seller credit for the FHA loan fees, making sure that they understand that part of the homeownership agreement fees include their first month payment, and that we also can accept gift funds for the entity fees. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions regarding this form? And just to remind you all that this form is also located in the program guides and matrices here under Earned Equity Program, and it's down here under the EEP Homeownership Cost Estimator. Okay. I believe I have gone over everything. Approved title companies. So we have a list of approved title companies here. Please keep in mind that it's not the actual title company or the escrow or the attorney that has to be approved. It's the company that's actually providing the title insurance. Okay. So if you have a title company and this escrow officer says, well, we're not on the list, check and make sure that one of the title insureds that they have access to using is on the list. So some of the big ones that we have approved are Landmark, First American Title, Westcor, Ticor. So we have some pretty big ones that are approved on the list. So addressing that up front is very important. If either you would have to switch title companies, see if they'll allow a split closing, or get your title company approved, and that can take up to a month because the board of directors over at the tribe, they only meet once a month. So I believe it's every third Tuesday. So if you just missed that date and you're trying to get your title insured approved, it could definitely be a delay. All right, so nobody has any questions today? All right, well, then I guess I will let you guys go for the day, and I'm so glad you guys joined us. Please reach out to Norm and myself if you do have any questions. Maybe you think of some in an hour or so. We're going to be hosting the EEP training in about 30 minutes. If you would like to sign up for that, goes over a lot of this information, but a little bit more in detail. And so feel free to join that as well. But I'm so glad you guys joined us, and I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.